And lo, there shall come a day in which we talk about Star Trek or something else. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome me with the extreme pleasure that I have, Dr. John Price, PhD.
Today is not that day.
Today is not that day.
Today is not that day.
Can I tell you? Look what Chris Sagasag gave me.
Yeah.
That genius. That's the Franklin.
Oh, the
Mint.
3D thing?
Yeah, the 1994 Franklin Mint.
Oh, shit.
Silver and gold thing. Poor guy's leaving his ancestral home, has to sell the house and everything. So he's just getting rid of crap. And he's like, hey, does Walker want this stormtrooper helmet? Like, fuck yeah, he'll paint it and make it into an incinerator trooper or somebody. And I tried to give him some money. He's like, oh no, there will be no money exchanging hands. And in addition, here's another bag of cool shit. And I was just like, Chris, this is very generous. It was cool. But anyway, so I thought
feels like there should be money.
The least I could do. Well, I told him I was, I'm sure you were raised this way too. If somebody gives you something, you give them a present back, right? Or do something nice or, something.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, dude, we got to have you over for dinner or something. Yeah. Like he can see the prop collection or something. But
that's awesome.
That was nice. But yeah, it was cool. Mimi loved it because it made me clean up this area.
There you go.
I'm like, I can't just throw it on top of like old DVD cases and shit, right? Comics that I bought once in 2010. And so I cleaned out my little desk. He's got a little post-it note just in case I need to write something down. That's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's a win-win for everybody. Chuck Gilbert's here. Hey, Chuck Gilbert, how are you?
I always forget to go over to comments. Hey, Chuck. So I'm really glad that these Chinese guys exist, the costumers.
Okay.
That, I forget what they're Beck Sojin or
Kozermart.
That's the one that everybody can say. I knew them back when they were still trying to get people to say their Chinese name. But yeah, Kozermart, man, this is cool. This was like $30, $32.
Yeah.
Right. And then
show the audience your Admiralty there.
Well, it's got the shoulder bars. That's so it's like Admiral April, right? Bob April. That's his.
Oh, that's what that's from. Okay.
That's what this is, the base shirt. And then I got Kirk's little, Boy Scout arrowhead things.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a medal from the 1962 Soviet medal for cosmonauts. Just like, hey, cosmonauts great. We're going to win the space race. I don't know. I'm sure if Braun was still talking to us instead of deep inside his cyber security thing, I could take a picture of it and he can tell me what this was. But anyway, yeah. I'm crazy. You know what? I got to say something. Everybody sees this face and I'm old and I'm the face of the patriarchy and I'm from the time where, Dire Straits had, homosexual slurs in their radio songs and everybody was fine, right? What are you going to do?
Exactly what you're talking about.
So I sometimes let fly things like this, that I'm gay for this kind of uniforms.
Yeah.
I get that's wrong. And today I'm happy the reason I bring up that sad, disappointing thing is I'm happy to say, announcing for the patriarchy as represented by me, I made the world's best typo today, sending this picture to my kid. And I'm like, hey, man, I'm really yay for these Star Trek costumes, and I don't know why. And he goes, yay? And I'm like, you know what? Yes, I am officially yay for that because that's what I'm trying to say. Everybody will get what I'm really saying, but I'm saying it in the most joyful way possible. I think we've made a really good, we're going to make Fletch happen on this one.
Yeah. I'm yay for it. I'm yay for this change. It's good.
Lobs are a very important part of the game in comedy. I'm like, if he doesn't say I'm yay for this, I'm going to get cross. Anyway, that's what I got going on. I'm a lacrosse dad now, driving around up to Yuba City, 2 hours away in the rain to get, our team to lose 9-2 and drive 2 hours back.
Wax Bros. Gotta love it.
They got new uniforms. That's like Man, what a scam! Like, the Cutler Group hat story about you just call up Nike and they give you the hats for. Yeah, I mean that comes from the high schools. They
Yeah.
just, they just were like, hey, we need Cardinals uniforms, and Nike's like, Nike uniforms here. They're all like, I don't know, what do you think? $40 a piece? And all the students go, yeah, that sounds great. And they have these branded uniforms with Nike stuff on it, and they just take a tax dodge or whatever. I don't know. It's
Oh yeah, yeah.
quite a scam.
I mean, think of how many high schools there are. They all need uniforms.
Chuck, thank you. I'm going to put that up.
It's pretty fly. That's right.
How about you? I love this time where there's no Star Trek. Kind of makes me sad. I talked to John Suntrays about this a little, and that's what I was dealing with my disappointment by naming our little things Tears of the Singers. The other one was Entropy Effect. These are all titles from the old Bantam and the Bantam paperbacks,
Oh, okay.
of Star Trek. So I feel like we're still got some old Star Trek references in there, but it's only for the people that really give a shit.
Yeah.
So basically me and Chuck.
Yeah.
Maybe Tony, if he's going by his name again.
Bjorn.
Borcutus of Borg.
Born Tony Borg guy. That's cool, man. Yeah. I'm wearing my Lower Decks uniform, which I've been wearing for like 2 years now.
Looking pretty sharp.
Yeah, man. Thanks.
Here's the thing, though.
I texture.
Oh yeah, I don't know what obviously they figured out the most economical fabric because all their costumes are the same fabric, and so it's like a little stretchy, but it's got some weight.
Yeah,
like this in between thing that like works across a range of.
Yeah, I don't know what magic they're doing, but it's a good one.
Well, I can't help but notice you have Captain Muad'Dib now, which everyone knows that's Dune. Do we want to just because Star Trek is so in the doldrums right now?
Yeah, Star Trek. Well, I mean, should we talk about how Paramount is dead? I mean, like, can that be your segue? I guess.
Is there any news on that?
Last I heard, they had a deal with Warner Brothers and it fell through. But
yeah, so they're just circling the drain. Is that what's going on?
Which is sad. I like Paramount.
I love Paramount, but I mean, I'm the kind of old school movie and Hollywood fan that, like, when I see RKO things from the 30s, I get sad that that's not still around, So, I mean, how much all the Star Trek that I watched, it was a Paramount, a Gulf Western company,
That's right. That's right.
So, like, it's just that's the nature of corporations, I guess.
True.
It is going to be like I hope they figure out a way to save it like they did MGM and United Artists and stuff, because come on, Paramount's iconic.
I mean, it's Paramount.
It's iconic, yeah.
Yeah.
So but on the other hand,
what isn't dead is Dune 2. And Dune 2 is one of the best, if not the best, like epic sci-fi movies I've ever seen.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Next subject.
Next topic. So it is written. I guess we should say spoilers if anyone cares, but I mean, come on. I've seen it.
Yeah, I think Dune is kind of, you're not spoiling anything, right?
Yeah, there was a meme about how it's unspoilable because it's just so ridiculous.
Oh, well, it's not even that. I mean, the story is well known to people who like if somebody said to you, like, hey, the end of this is kind of fucked up because Chani kind of jumps on the you would like not even care, right? It's not. That's why I think it's unspoilable.
I think there's only really one spoiler, and it's Christopher Walken as the Emperor. Like, was that a known thing? Like,
all right, I did, but my good buddy Matt Hollingsworth, he's like one of the best colorists in comics. He lives in Croatia now. I don't know why. That's where I guess his wife's family's from there. That must be it. But he's taken over the beer scene. But anyway, he said he hated that Christopher Walken was the Emperor, and I just went, because I've known that guy forever. I just like, Matt didn't like it. Like, but I was like, oh my goodness. I thought all the reasons he hated it was all the reasons I thought it was perfect.
Same here. I definitely, a friend of mine was like, no, it shouldn't have been Christopher Walken. I'm like, no, it absolutely should have been Christopher Walken.
So,
and yeah,
what did your buddy say as the counter argument? Because I remember Matt's.
Well, it's too. He was saying how it's hard to get over the fact that it's just Christopher Walken.
Yeah, that was the first prong.
Yeah,
he's too obviously Christopher Walken, right?
Yeah, it's like it's just Christopher Walken. Like it's not like a character. Okay. It's just him, Which I don't really care. I'm not a Dune orthodox person.
I'm not even sure as a criticism that's all the way legit, because what's a guy gonna do,
Right? Yeah, and he didn't turn it on. Yeah, like he wasn't going over the top Christopher Walken. If anything, he was doing the opposite.
Well, that's why that was Matt's problem. So much that Christopher Walken brings his own luggage, right? So and I'm like, what are you gonna do about that? But second of all, he was like, the Emperor of the known universe is not like a befuddled curmudgeon guy. Like, he used some adjectives that describe Christopher Walken, and I was like, I get that sort of thing. And in the book, they really kind of play up that he's a Machiavellian Sun Tzu kind of guy. But also, I think that's a legit take, that once you get to be, protector of the known space or whatever his largest title is, I mean, he might as well be Christopher Walken. It's not Keanu Reeves, which I also would have accepted.
That would have been amazing.
A little Bill and Ted there, hey man, the navigators can fly through space, okay? Yeah. That kind of even works too. If you're James Gunn,
bro, that'd be awesome. Chuck Gilbert says we can now get a Christopher Walken action figure, which I think is just the best. It's the best.
Yeah, Alan David Doan's gonna like that because he makes these armies of action, mashed together action figures.
I don't really collect action figures, but I might have to get a Christopher Walken as the Emperor action figure.
I would just buy that figure and then immediately modify it to look like his guy in the Saturday Night Live skit.
Yes, yeah.
Just like, we need more cowbell.
Yeah. So, where should we start talking about Dune? Because it's amazing and perfect. In every way.
I'd love to. Yeah, I'd love to address this. Right, Chuck has a movie crew, which I think is great. Chuck, I gotta send you guys Quatloos, because they make their own little thing. It's a deal. I love it. And the girl said no because it's too long. I scoff at them. I'm not going to say that's a gender thing. I think those are just your friends. But anybody who says this ice cream is too cold is out of their fucking mind.
I think it's not the one. I don't think it's the length. I think it's the nature of the movie. I think obviously there are women who like Dune, obviously, but my wife refused to go. She fell asleep during the first one. My friend's wife refused to go. So it was literally just me and my friend were the only people out of it was.
It's just them. Yeah. So really, they just didn't dig it.
No, the women I have spoken to in my very cloistered life had no interest whatsoever in seeing Dune. Yeah.
Well,
good luck with all the girl power messaging.
If they're not aware of it in the first place, right? Which I was like, we were speaking before about it being unspoilable. Regular people aren't going to give a shit. The marketing is super weird on this movie.
Yeah.
So I get how that happens. It's like, what? I don't understand what happens, and it's 3 hours long. No,
right. It's like they're marketing it. They're marketing it like, hey, look, we know 1% of the population is going to like this, but we also know they're all going to see it 10 times. So here you go.
And it's valuable to the studio because they're going to win every single Oscar that year.
Oh my God, dude. They have to win every single Oscar.
There's nothing that's going to be better. Maybe somebody will win best supporting actor, and maybe they'll give best makeup to some monster movie, but that's
sure.
It, man.
I mean, all the technical awards, what movie is going to out technical that movie?
I
Like,
was
come
really
on.
impressed how they made it seem like. I mean, we saw it at IMAX. Did you see it on a big screen?
I saw it in a regular theater, but not
But
I.
yeah, but it was big, right?
This,
You
yeah,
sit close. Like I was really surprised uh how they I forget how to pronounce that guy's name, Dennis Villeneuve. Villeneuve,
Denis Villeneuve. Yes.
Villeneuve. I was really surprised how he and his team was able to really like put you in there and make you feel like for once, oh, I'm watching somebody ride a giant worm thing through
A
the sand.
giant fucking worm.
It really was believable. Like instead of like, hey, it's
Yeah.
Kyle McLaughlin in front of a blue screen.
Yeah.
It was they had the sand effects and like you lost track of where everything was for a second, which you
Yeah.
would in a stand. I just was really like, oh fuck, okay.
It's
Now
so
now we're
good.
at that part of movies where they're really like if you get a director who understands that CG really does put you in sort of impossible positions, you know?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
he didn't do the camera swing that you can do or
Hmm.
like Rick Austin brings this up a lot that like it's impossible. You couldn't shoot it like that. So it looks weird to audiences, right? It's just
Right.
not a camera move that can happen really without you just doing math, right?
Right. Right.
And so he avoided that. It really looked like I got the idea that he was like looking around like where he was in space, but also
Hmm.
like fuck the it just dropped 3 feet. So I gotta, the whole
Yeah.
thing was just edited really well. Timothy Chalamet really
Oh my god,
he
dude.
sold it up and down. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of hard to talk about this movie because you could just bring up something and talk for 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Like, oh, the ornithopters were perfect. Okay, go.
There was a couple parts where I had to like think a little bit more about like context clues about what was going on. But I mean, we're so far down the level of nitpicking at that point. Like, nah, no,
Yeah, I mean, there's always going to be like, oh, I didn't understand that, or
right.
this
Like,
could
I
have been
didn't really
better.
understand where Josh Brolin came back
Yeah.
because like they didn't really explain that those are like the spice collectors. I thought those were just bad guy ships.
Uh,
And so I had to like put that together in my
yeah.
head, you know. But
Yeah.
after that, okay, you're done.
Gurney's kind of weird. They needed at least, my thing, like just write a line. And they probably had one. I mean, this movie was probably 10
Oh
hours
yeah,
long, but they just needed one thing for them to. It's a little far that when the Harkonnens destroy the treaties camp, that
hmm
you just assume everybody dies, and it's a little far away when Gurney shows up with I don't know if it's with Stilgar, but it's definitely with the Fremen somewhere.
mm,
And he like saw it coming or fought his way out or whatever. He got out and like
right.
hung out with them for like 3 months. That was my one nitpick. Like the end of that movie for being 2 hours and 43 minutes or whatever it is. The end of it comes really fast, and you don't get it if you haven't seen the book. I've never read the
Yes,
book. Like I had
yeah,
to explain to Walker, I like, all right, man, I know what half your questions are gonna be. Like the last 15 minutes of the movie takes place over a year, which they don't tell you at all. and, and it's like it's all set up for Dune Messiah. Like basically,
yeah,
Paul is turned into Jesus, and he's like, "Oh, okay, okay." All I need to know that was like a year later. I'm like, he's not the kind of director that goes, "All right, it's getting kind of tight. It's a year later."
yeah, yeah.
But that happened or it might even be 2 years later. I haven't read the book for a long time.
Well, so the critique, the criticism I've seen has been mostly from book people, and like the book story takes place over like 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
But it's very clear the movie, like the kid isn't born yet by the end of the movie, right? So
Oh,
it's
his sister. Yeah.
yeah, so it's only a few months in the course of the movie, which again I don't care, but book people seem very upset about that.
It's just that, yeah, there's a lot of compression that happened with
It is, but
with
it's also a
Zendaya's
movie, so who the fuck
character.
cares?
Yeah, no, yeah. I'm just trying to explain because I'm halfway in between. Like I ain't
Yeah,
read the book, but that movie is great. And so any little cheats or squints or stuff that you have to make is like again, I would like to remind everybody we saw a guy riding a sandworm and
yeah,
it looked fucking real. So right
yeah,
there, all of your criticisms are invalid, right?
right.
Javier Bardem was great. I'm like, there's no way
Fantastic.
you're gonna beat Max von Sydow as Stilgar. There's just no way. Oh wait, there it is. He was excellent. He was better than Max von Sydow.
He was so good. Like he might have. I mean, I'm not gonna say he stole the movie, but he definitely stole like a couple of the scenes he was in. Like,
isn't that a cool observation though? Because you could, like, if you're a big fan of an actor and actress, you can say that. Like, they have every time an actor and actress has an important scene, not just an exposition dump, but something that sells emotion or something. Old villain, he just stays on them. Like, I could watch a fucking 4-hour movie of Rebecca Ferguson in that movie.
yeah,
Just kind of like staring at candles, making knitting, and like
doing the voice.
yeah, I mean, like, what the fuck? That was like, and I mean, she's in it for like, I don't know, 15, 20 minutes, and you're just like, what is she gonna say? But the same thing with Javier and Christopher Walken. I think that's what everybody's problem is, though. Is the same thing happens to you with Christopher Walken, but then you start going, oh, it's fucking Christopher Walken.
Yeah.
And the other people sort of like, not exactly sink into their parts, but they do if they're supposed to.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. It's very good immersion. I like that.
I don't know. I love that
Good,
movie.
man.
Costumes are great. You know me. I feel like, and even Timothy pulls it out. I think, though,
I thought he was great.
I've been watching all the press they've been doing, the 4 of them, and it's really fun because they're all in their 20s.
Yeah.
The Elvis guy, Zendaya, Timothy, and Florence Pugh. But they've been raised in this whole media saturated, social media saturated thing. And so even when they're talking to people on a press junket, they're kind of being snarky, like they're writing 140 character, answers to the questions. Is really kind of interesting. And all 4 of them are on it because they work together for months.
Yeah.
It's really fun. And it's like the world's best Blu-ray, behind the scenes stuff. It's fun. So if you have a minute to yourself, which I know you don't, but
I'm sure someone does.
They're pretty good. They're pretty good.
That's nice, man. The Elvis guy was awesome.
Austin something.
Whatever his name is. He was fantastic. Like literally every single character was perfect.
We watched Masters of the Air. I was gonna say Monsters of the Air. That Austin Brown, I think his name is Butler. Thank you, John.
Butler. There you go.
Austin Butler was in, and he could have played two more different characters.
Yeah.
And he even said he had some other gig afterwards, so he didn't shave his head. That was all makeup. And they got tight on his face. I'm like, they didn't shave his eyebrows. I was like, wow, man, those makeup guys did you a solid because that looked great.
So, the Harkonian planet, which is all black and white. Apparently, they filmed that in infrared, and so like those are actual like fireworks going off, but that's what fireworks look like in infrared.
Oh, that's fantastic!
How fucking cool was that, man? Like,
yeah, I really like that effect. It kind of reminded me a little of Nightcrawler. Dancing back and forth in X-Men, but I like that. If that's what fireworks look like in infrared, that's better then.
Yeah, that's way better.
I like that. That's
yeah.
Who has that thought though? These crazy movie guys. Shoot off some fireworks, but you know what? Give me the infrared camera.
Yeah, see what it looks like. Yeah, man, it was just so good. It was. I love the pacing. I was not bored ever. It did not slow down. It did not speed up too fast. I mean, the pacing was just fucking perfect. The score was awesome and didn't get in the way, which I have a pet peeve about that. When I care more about the music, that kind of irks me a little bit. But it was fucking perfect. Everything about it was perfect. The philosophical stuff was perfectly woven in. I mean, like I don't know. I don't know what to say. Like every level of the movie was just an A+. Yep.
I like how everything. Oh yeah, see, how does
No, I
Hector,
did not see it in IMAX. I
how
saw it
does
just on a regular screen.
how do we know Hector comes in late? I literally
Nah,
I
it's
asked
a
you
valid question.
7 to 9 minutes ago. He's coming late. Hector, what's happening, man? Often our special guest Hector Gonzalez comes in. I think both Hector and Chris Sagasag and Rick Austin are tied for first place with 2 appearances both
Hmm.
as our
We'll have
guest,
to fix that.
as our me or you fill in. Yeah, exactly. Put one of them, just charge them. Like
Yeah,
if
there you go.
anybody wants to say that you've been the most guest, it's
That's right. That's right.
send $100 to Price. He's having a baby.
Yeah, seriously.
Oh wait, better make it $200.
Send me money. Just in general, just send me money.
Subscribe to the first place.
Yeah, man. So, and then what else? There was something else I want to talk about that isn't just like generic. I think this is great.
Look at Chris is like the most just reserved guy I know.
Oh yeah,
He's like,
nicest
oh
dude.
man, I just did it once. Let it be the other guys. I'm like, okay, Chris. And kid actor's like, I think I did it twice. I don't know what Larry's talking about. Anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The only okay, this is what I was gonna say. The badass soldiers from the first movie, I forget what they're called.
Articar.
Yes, they're not that badass in this movie. We could have badassed them up a little, you know.
Yeah.
It's like you're saying like they compressed the last 15 minutes, and it's
Yeah.
like a lot of that. It was very. It didn't get as bad as like Lord of the Rings when the Ghost Army shows up and they just run over, and it's not as bad as that, but it's definitely was a little like, okay, now this 100,000 person army has just taken over everything. Next.
Yeah. I mean, the thing I appreciate about it is that Dune is so iconic and it's so old that all the cool stuff has already been ripped off, right?
Sure, of course.
But they avoided the John Carter thing, which that exactly happened.
Mm.
And it might be because John Carter is like 120 years old, so there was more time to rip it off. But I mean, that book came out in 1965, and Tatooine is Arrakis.
Oh yeah,
12 years later. So and they have the skeleton of one of the sandworms in there when 3PO is like, oh, what's that? I mean, that's all clearly Dune, and it's because it is so good. It's largely avoiding the whole. Oh well, they're just ripping this off.
Yeah,
or maybe Dune's got its IP is so much the mind share and the consciousness of your pop culture people is so big that normal people can avoid it. Whatever. That's that big fucking epic thing that I'm vaguely aware of, but who cares?
Yeah.
Apparently they're
It is a little
popcorn buckets
daunting.
you can
Like
screw. They're like sex toys. So I don't want to be involved in that.
yeah, it is a little daunting. Like if you're like, hey, I want to read Dune, and then you're like, oh, it's 600 pages. Oh, okay. Never mind. I know worms. Got it. The spice must flow.
It's bad. It's only good if you're like 15, right?
Right.
Because if you're an adult, like by page 3, you're like, oh, I get it. The spice is oil. The
Right.
Fremen are
Right.
the Saudi Arabia.
Right.
It's like pretty obvious as an adult, but by the time you get to the end, it's like Paul Muad'Dib is Jesus. His name is a fucking violence word. Oh my god, that's cool when you're 15. You can just be running around at recess and go Larry Young, and that's your Anyway, I didn't do that. I would say Muad'Dib for like maximum nerdistry.
Sure,
Muad'Dib. Anyway.
Yeah, man, just it was great, and everything about it was great.
Agreed. And yet, nothing very Star Trek about it.
No, it is the anti-Star Trek.
I was really missing the navigators. I wanted to see some navigators.
Yeah, were they supposed to be the guys controlling the ships? Were they supposed to be navigators?
Yeah, so
they were not.
It's all very. It's part of the world building,
right?
So it explains why the spice is the most sought after thing.
Right.
Like it doesn't just give you cool ass, visions and your various drug stuff. It actually has made humans last to the year 10,000
Right.
because some guy back in the day like invented hyperdrive, but you couldn't navigate in it. You could go out to the wherever you wanted, but you couldn't find your way home.
Mm.
So you could have all of these cool things, and that there's chapters of this. These
Oh,
one there's these one guys. They're like, okay, we're loading up our trucks with all this fucking drugs, man, and we're gonna go out. Oh, bad news for us. The drugs are actually helping us find our way back, man. This is cool. Let's go back to Arrakis and tell everybody. And they do. And then they're like, oh, well, that's great. You've just opened up trade for everyone all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
And they keep taking it and they keep mutating until like they're like 12 to 14 feet long. And they have to just cook around in these giant school bus sized things.
Nice.
That's how they travel. That's how I have to get into the ship. I'll move my fucking big thing here because it's like this giant thing suspended in, your own gravy.
Yeah.
And oh man, like show me that. Like David Lynch did in 1984. It's not like you can't build that shit.
Yeah.
Like it's nothing with it. But the reason it's important in the book is because the Emperor and one of the head navigators like kind of have like a little like buddy thing going on. Like they're like, oh, let's it basically their conversation explains like all the political stuff going on, but also the backstory about how it all happened. So
Gotcha.
I get why they didn't do it, because it's like that's going to be another hour of your movie.
Yeah.
And it's not really driving the narrative, so
it's a whole other thing.
I'm just a nerd for that shit. That's all.
Yeah, I remember with Discovery, one of the big jokes was, the tardigrades are just space navigators, So that was trying to get some Star Trek in here,
Yeah. Hector's right, though. You see that the guild really runs the show, but they kind of missed the whole Bene Gesserit thing, too, in this movie. Like, Paul's mom and all those crazy witchy nun chicks, they run everything, too. So it's like this... That's why it's cool that she has the prophet chosen one baby she's not supposed to have with all the spice.
Yeah.
It's all this giant thing that all fits together really cool. I don't know how you do that in a movie, because a movie is visual.
I thought they did a good job of showing that the Bene Gesserit are powerful and
yeah, it's spectacular. Honestly, I'm just saying there's no way to convey to somebody who's just vaguely aware of it just how dense
right
that
sure
is. That's all.
Yeah, I could definitely see, like, if you have no clue what's going on, you're going to be miserable because you're going to be asking questions every 2 seconds. Like, wait, what? Who's that? Is that the same person? No, it's a different person. Okay, where are we? Why is this a black and white planet? What?
Do you think that is new? Because I do. Like when I was a kid,
I think
nobody went to movies and expected everything explained. You were expected to sit down and have the entertainment wash over you. And you had a cool narrative with beginning, middle, and end that was constructed for you by expert artisans. And people went, I'm going to have a really nice meal here. And they would watch, and then it would be cool, and then they would talk about it.
Yeah.
And that doesn't happen now, and I don't know why.
Well, I think the big change is people want to know the details before the details emerge. Where it's like, you're 5 minutes into the movie. It's like, wait, what? Who's the bad guy? It's like, well, we haven't found out yet.
Right.
Like, it's a 2-hour movie. Watch the movie. Like.
Yeah, I agree 100%. That's like that article I wrote about ripping the space reporter from the Atlantic who live blogged 2001, which that was an abomination. But stuff like that should be like, well, why is this guy like all alone on the Pan Am Clipper? And it's like, well, why don't you wait 2 seconds and they'll tell you.
Right.
It's like, how do you watch movies like that?
I don't get it.
Anyway,
but I did not watch Dune like that. I just enjoyed everything about it, and it was amazing. And I haven't been that happy in a very long time.
Oh man, that's cool. I wish that there was a reverse cameo thing where we could clip that and somehow make Dennis Villeneuve hear that.
Right? Yeah.
Hey man, I'm just a regular Joe, and I haven't, regular Joes, you know, they live lives of quiet desperation, like Henry Thoreau said. I've never been so happy, man. I love you, Dennis. And then
Thank you.
he'd send you like a little digital autograph or something.
That's fine. I'll take it.
You're like, oh, hey, thanks. Here you go, John.
Print it out, put it in
Glad
a
that worked
thing,
for you.
you know.
Wow, I just dropped into this. Mimi has been speaking to me. She goes, "Hey man, just in regular conversations that we have, I will like drop into like my own private little Saturday Night Live skit where I'm like doing a voice or like referencing some joke that I told Walker that she has no concept of what I'm talking about because I'm on this little like Larry Young talk show that only I can see,
Sure,
and
yeah.
and I just felt like I just did that, so I apologize.
No, it's good. It's good. It's good. Keep the kids entertained, you know.
When I'm
What did
when I,
everybody else think? Is there anyone in the audience who did not like Dune or did not think it was a perfect movie like me?
right, so we can delete you from our
So we
lives.
can know the enemy among us, you know?
One of the things I really enjoyed, Walker and Mimi both. Walker and I watched the 1984 one 2 days before.
Mm,
Mimi didn't care; she's like, whatever.
yeah, I'm with her.
But both of all of us in the family watched Dune Part One the night before,
Mm,
and then watched that, and that was really cool way of being able to remind us where we were in the story, like
yeah,
get into the vibe, but also be able to see the choices that get made differently between the two directors and the amount of time. And the
yeah,
thing that crushed me, because I'm one of these guys, I love the suits and the gear and stuff, but the inside of the ornithopter cockpits looked like something that would work in the new version, and in the old version, it was really funny how I get what their design sense was going for, but it was all padded leather and brass, like some kind of steampunky thing. But
okay,
the walls were vertical, and there are 90-degree walls around them because they built sets instead of thinking
right,
what an actual cockpit would look like in the model
right,
that
right. That's
And
funny.
so that's what I loved, and was talking about Mimi about it, and I actually had the best time at this movie because it was my family and Steve Euchre.
Yeah,
So Steve's on one side. I get to sit next to Steve, then my kid, and then my wife, which was awesome because if I wanted to talk to Mimi, I could lean across Walker and not feel like I was in somebody's
right.
personal space in a theater. But and like me and Steve are going to be having a different conversation than he and Mimi would have, right? So that was cool. I was like, I felt I had the best seat in the entire theater, and it was so that's what was fun about watching that movie for me.
Yeah, yeah.
Let's see.
Yeah, like Hector says, again, he's complaining about the time crunch, which again, I get, I understand. But
I kind of
oh well.
liked that Aaliyah wasn't born yet
I
because
thought it was good. Yeah.
in the '84 version she's like 10. She's played by Alicia Witt, which is really cool. 10-year
Oh
old
yeah, that's
10-year
funny.
old Alicia Witt. But so I liked this one better, that like pregnant unborn sister is
Yeah,
like giving him shit from the womb.
yeah.
It was more science fictiony to me than
Yes.
like
Yeah,
seeing some 10-year-old girl just say
yeah.
sass him.
Yeah,
But
more
that was
science
cool.
fictiony. It's more like, makes it more mystical,
Yeah.
adds mysticism to the whole thing, like, oh, okay, yeah. But yeah.
So
Um,
I hate to put you on the spot, but as the lore
let's do
master,
it.
what do
Hmm.
you think about that? From like, it has all the epic trope and structures of these legendary stories, like
Hmm.
of the legendary fantasy stuff, like Lord of the Rings and all that.
Sure, like King Arthur. Yeah, definitely.
King Arthur, yeah, except that's
Hmm.
real. That he was a real guy. That really happened, right?
Well, the French version, the made up, the fictional French version. Yes.
Oh man, I just read something. I
Nobody
can't remember.
clapped at mine. Nobody clapped at mine. Chuck says there was a lot of clapping at his. Nobody clapped. It
Oh,
was weird. It was dead silent, and everyone just kind of walked out.
huh.
It was really weird. Yeah.
Yeah, I never throw in what happened at my theater because Steve and Mark and I always go to fan appreciation events or some advertising thing that he hooks us up for early. So everybody there is either there for work or fucking more psyched than us, you know?
Yeah.
So that's it's a cool way to go see a movie
Mhm. Yeah.
because you get you the middle's always assumed in a bell curve, right? I'm really interested in what happens at both ends.
Hmm.
And so people who don't give a shit and the people who give all the shits are really fun in one room, you know?
That's
And
funny.
so yeah, we had half and half. We had people that were like yelling during this thing like they were in their own living room. And then there were people that just walked out and went, "Oh, well, I
That's
guess I'll have
awesome.
to write my email about that tomorrow to the HR." It was really weird.
um, to get what you're getting at, though, I think, and again, like, I don't know, just in terms of like the story as presented in these movies, right? And obviously, the 1984 movie is different. And I guess there was a mini series at one point. I did not
Yeah.
watch it. I didn't know it existed, but whatever.
Yeah, Sci-Fi
I was in
Channel did
college.
Children of Dune.
I was in college. I wasn't watching.
Yeah.
But
No points off.
I think this is like the perfect way to add to the continuum of folklore.
Yeah.
That's what I think. Because everyone's obsessed with folklore as this idea of like, this fictional like medieval past or whatever, right? And that's not it.
Aw,
They just wrote those stories when they were in the medieval past.
that's kinda
Like,
cute. Like, that some people think folklore is just like, you hear
oh
the
yeah,
medieval
oh yeah,
flute playing in the background and, like,
oh yeah. That's one of the biggest hurdles you have when you discuss with people is like, oh, like, when you're talking about folklore, they're like, oh, you mean like, fairy tales. It's like, yeah, that's one. There's like
yeah.
30 genres. That's one of them. Yep. Okay. Um, and then of course people never want to go the religious route. I love going the religious route, but I mean religion
Well,
is
because
just
religion is
it's
real,
just
man, it's not
well,
storytelling.
right. Right. But even like eminent like folklorists will be like, well, I'm not talking about Jesus, but these other guys are clearly fake. I'm like, okay, all right. But yeah, or now the Taylor Swift album is the biggest hurdle. Yeah. But even her, like she's leaning on that imagery of like, a rustic, past or whatever.
Can I
Like
just
living in a cabin.
can I sidebar you this? You're gonna love this because it's
Yeah.
sports. Everybody's been following the Taylor Swift and Travis Kelsey thing, but I have
Mhm.
to thank them because they turned me on to. I didn't realize that Jason is a guy, the brother,
Yeah. Yeah.
because he plays for the Eagles. Fuck you,
Mhm.
Philadelphia. Who gives a shit? I would never hear
And
about
he's
it.
a lineman.
I would
So he's
never.
never like in the press. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I would never hear about it, but that's how I did hear him about him because my kid's a lineman. So he's like, no,
Mhm.
Jason's the cool guy. And I was like, what?
Yeah.
So I started following all this shit. And you know what that motherfucker did? He just retired, right? And yesterday, I guess he announced his retirement, right? And
Yeah.
they showed his personal trainer was wrapping his ankles like before he went out for the press release, right? And I'm like, that's fucking bananas. I love that guy. That's really cool. And then the story comes out that his last playoff game, his personal trainer that had worked with him his entire year in the NFL couldn't work with him on the last playoff
Oh
game
no.
because he had cancer and he had to have a cancer treatment. And so he's like, "Oh no, man, you're right. You get it the one more time. It's not the playoffs, but you get it better because nobody else is getting their ankles wrapped for their retirement press conference." And they
No.
show the guy doing his job.
That's
It was
nice.
fuck. I was like, I love that guy forever. Nice job, Jason.
Nice.
I hope you do something fucking awesome and don't leave the public eye because we need more people like that.
He should run for president. I would have voted for him. I don't care what his politics are.
Yes, agreed. I
We just need to get Taylor Swift into the White House somehow. That's all.
oh, you want Travis in there?
No, no, I'm just saying, like, get her in there somehow. Like,
Well, dude,
you know,
I
adjacent.
here's the
You know.
thing. I could run for president dressed like this and win because I'm not 100 years old.
It's
And
true.
so, and I will guarantee I'll make this personal promise to you that Taylor Swift will be in my administration, not just
Yes.
visiting my White House. She'll
Yeah.
be like Secretary of State or something.
Oh yeah, yeah. Secretary of Defense. Fuck yeah.
Defense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Put her in a
I was thinking
uniform.
Feldman. I was thinking Feldman for Secretary of Defense.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense.
Kill them all.
Yeah.
Kill everyone you see for 2 weeks. Anyone left standing, we'll talk to them. Wow.
That's him.
So President Young has a national police force. Everyone's dressed like Carl Urban and Judge Dredd. That's so weird. It works for America. It's not Trump.
Ostermart is the official
Right.
outfitter of the Young administration. Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, I think it's a really cool way of making a new folklore story, you know, where it is. And look,
Oh,
there's nothing
yeah.
wrong with like using tropes and shit. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. But it's an original. Like, people talk about Star Wars this way, right? Star Wars is folklore. Star Wars is pop culture folklore, right? And I've done it, right? This is way more because it was before Star Wars, right? You know, it's way more an example.
The interesting thing I'm reading from the kids is they're all like, "Well, I don't really get Paul's hero's journey," and I'm like, "That's because Paul's not on a hero's journey, you fucking moron."
Mhm.
But that's old Larry. I would have that argument. I would be presently having that argument with somebody. But now it's like, yeah, you don't see it. All right, that movie's great. One of us is right.
I have seen a lot of comments that are like, "This movie's so good, I can't wait to see the happy ending in part 3." You know?
Yeah, because that always works.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I kind of don't blame those people because they just don't know what Dune is.
No, they're being sarcastic. They know what's coming. Yeah,
okay.
Being facetious and saying,
well, that always,
60 million people are going to die.
I didn't get it because there's so many stupid people in the world.
I know. No, you're right. You're right. You're right. I should have explained. Yeah, these are not stupid. Yeah.
I sent Walker me and my son because he's having some. He has to take the SAT Saturday, so he's having some ennui, and and I said, "Hey man, everybody hates school. It's not like even people who enjoyed school. I really liked reading and learning new shit, but you don't like doing it on the man's time. I totally
no one likes being told to do things. Yeah.
So he's like, all right. And he goes. So then he sends me this meme he found. It was a chicken talking, and he's like, "Man, I can't wait until I graduate when I can go out in the real world where everybody's not a moron." So that's great. So anyway, I thought that was pretty self-aware of him as a 16-year-old.
Yeah, that's
like it's like, yeah, my life sucks, but like I listen to you, and your life kind of sucks in a different way.
Yeah, that's funny.
It's just everybody's a moron. What are you gonna do?
Yep, everybody's a moron except Denis Villeneuve is not a moron. I
like The Arrival, and I love Blade Runner 2049, but I don't know anything else he's made. Do you?
Sicario was like his big.
Oh, that
was his first big one.
That explains
the first Sicario. He didn't do the second one. But whatever is in that guy's head. What's that?
It's the one with George Clooney.
No, it's Josh Brolin and what the hell's the guy's name? I can't. He's in The Force Awakens, or no, he's in the Last Jedi. He's the smuggler in The Last Jedi.
Oh, Benicio del Toro.
Benicio del Toro, yes. And Emily Blunt is
I know.
it.
I know Hector's getting that because he thought that was Ezra for the longest time.
I know that would have been so good, but it's about smuggling in Mexico and death and destruction. It's so good. Whatever's in that guy's like right part of his brain is just fucking so overdeveloped. He is so creative and artistic, and
agree.
It sounds like I want to blow him. So
Well, he's French. He'd probably go for
Oh,
it.
he's French, you know.
Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Price. Thank you.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's not go down that path.
Nope. Immediately regretting all this.
In other news, I'm trying to buy Paramount.
Yeah, right. That'd
Oh,
be good.
speaking of which, we had some big news. You know, we're a giant media family forever.
Sure.
We
Sure.
were just #1 on the runway with TiVos. We bought the $99 lifetime thing and we used it for like 17 years. It was amazing. And but now I'm like, I can't. Anyway, events have transpired that we had to get rid of Comcast
Oh
because
boy,
they suck.
they do.
And that was part of what was happening with not having reliable stuff. We were blaming Virginia and your strings and cans for connectivity. It was me and Comcast the whole time. So I apologize about that. But also, Comcast, we went to Sonic. Everything's fine. But now my TV is not a TV. It's a computer. So that's fine. Once everybody told me that, but I'm like, where's NBC? You know, and I'm like, hey, man, it doesn't work that way anymore.
Right.
So Mimi comes over and says, hey, man, just look at this as a computer. And all of our streaming apps are the networks. So instead of Paramount Plus, instead of CBS, that's Paramount Plus. And dude, overnight I went from like, I don't know what's going on to like, oh yeah, you want to watch Extraordinary? That's on Hulu. Let me get to that. You know, it's like as soon as I just made that little adjustment, I'm like, I can tell you now that Planet of the Apes was on Friday night at 8:30 on CBS, even despite being an hour-long show, right? How can I keep all that shit in my head? But I don't know where things are now. Oh, it's because I'm not thinking about it the right way. And I thought it was so funny that it was Mimi who told me instead of Walker, because usually he just translates the digital native shit to me. But like I was too far away from him. He was like, I don't really even know how to solve the question you're asking.
Right.
Right, because I'm going, that does not work. Make work. It's like, of course you can't answer that.
That's funny.
Anyway.
Can we pivot real quick to why did they remake Twister?
Oh, but are they?
Because I saw a preview for this movie, and it was the movie Twister, but with different people, and the exact same scenes, and dialogue, but with different people, and then they added an S to the word Twister
because there's two of them. So it's not really a remake.
Why? No, but there are scenes that are exactly this. I agree. Memorized in my head.
They're not even exactly the same. They take this place of better scenes from what you can tell in the trailer, right?
Right.
Like, oh, look, there's a cow. Oh, there's another cow. It's cows.
I was sitting there waiting for her to go, where's my truck? You know, and it's like, well, what?
So this was not planned, but this is literally right next to me, right?
That's fantastic.
I have some fucking opinions about this movie, and my opinion is I don't give a shit. Probably won't see it. If it comes on streaming, maybe my kid wants to
watch it. The original one and be like, no, that's the only one.
Like, this movie has no point. And so here's what happened to me in my pop culture fan life. They remade RoboCop with the guy from For All Mankind, and they remade Total Recall with the pretty guy played Penguin. Yeah, and it was both of those were pointless. The RoboCop one was kind of enjoyable because they did the stupid lifting things out, but did it in a different way. Like I'd buy that for $1 was a really creepy line by Michael Keaton in the other one, right? I mean, in the remake. So I'm like, okay, I get what they were doing there. So, but still, like he has a human hand. Why would you make RoboCop? You made RoboCop look like Black Iron Man with a human hand to remind everybody that like the chin's just not enough, that there's a real guy in there because they saved his hand too. Because RoboCop, he got blown up. His hand was over there. So like some scientist had to go, well, most of this is a robot body, but his hand's still good.
Use your hand.
Like,
Yeah.
well, it's his right hand. Maybe if he has to write something,
Hmm.
it was just so dumb.
Well, like the Twister movie, this Twisters movie would have made sense in like 2012 when they were just doing all those remakes back to back to back to back to back, like the fucking Red Dawn remake.
Yeah.
Fucking, they did all of those. The Conan remake, like they did all of them. It would have fit in then, and we could have forgotten about it. Why is it coming out now, and why does it exist?
But that's what I mean, right? That it's. I think it's
Yeah,
because it's the more dearth of any kind of creativity, or of the bean counters allowing the creative people talent to be able
right.
to be creative. They're like, yeah, we love this great, like, I don't know. It's a football thing called writer's block. Larry's kid is a writer and he's a nerd jock, and there you go. I can fucking do that
Writers.
all day, right? Except who gives a shit when you can go, everybody knows Twister and
Yeah,
everybody loves Bill Paxton. Let's make this guy the kid of Bill Paxton and Helen Hunt and have 2 or 3 CG Twisters in there, and then it'll be Twisters. Like everybody goes, they pull out the calculators and like, well, our ROI on that is probably going to be over 37%. Okay, that looks good. It's exactly the opposite way to make movies. But
yeah, it's not good. And then there was a trailer for a new King Kong movie or something.
yeah, that one I'll give them. I'll
I
spot on
don't,
that one
I don't
because
understand what's going on with
King
these
Kong,
movies.
because it's King Kong and Godzilla, so we'll give them that.
Yeah, and they're fighting like an alien or something.
Right. I don't understand your quizzical tone of voice. Why?
Well, the trailer, there was a lot of emphasis on like a young Kong,
Yeah.
right? Like a baby Kong, and it's like, do we really?
So the Japanese company, I think it's called Toho. There's no way to talk about this Godzilla stuff without sounding racist ass racist. It's
It's
like,
very true.
because okay, I can't keep it straight, because wasn't there a slur in World War II for the Axis powers that was Tojo, right?
Well, Tojo was the guy's name.
Okay, but then
Yeah,
they just it became a
yeah, and we
slur.
don't
It's
like
like,
him, so he's
fuck
bad.
you,
Yeah.
Tojo, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's Toho, but I always, even as a little boy, I'm like, I don't know, am I supposed to hate this guy? Like, wanted to kill us, but he made up Godzilla. That's cool. Anyway, they're making it a big thing now with the TV show, and it's all like this,
Huh.
connected world, because that's what you do. And they somehow got a hold of King Kong. So I'm all down. Take all that.
Okay.
I hate kaiju movies,
Yeah.
Pacific Rim.
No, I'm
Like, it's
not.
all pointless. But King Kong and Godzilla kind of got grandfathered into my brain, because
Okay.
I saw it when I was a boy, and you know,
All right.
Godzilla versus the Smog Monster was
I
cool.
love the song by Blue Oyster Cult, Godzilla. That's one of my favorite songs. It's
Yeah,
definitely like
that's cool.
top 10, top 25 songs of all time.
I know I can't really talk about that because I think Blue Oyster Cult has like the top 10. You can do
I mean,
top
Blue Oyster
10
Cult's amazing.
songs of all time just with Blue Oyster Cult songs.
That's so true. So true.
Don't Fear the Reaper. Come on.
I mean,
Nights
classic.
in White Satin. Come on.
Hmm.
Anyway.
So yeah, and then
Yes.
there was one other
I was just going to tell you this.
trailer.
Read this from Chuck. Because I saw the art to this. King Kong has a Green Lantern ring on. Like, that's where they're going with. They're letting King Kong and Godzilla just into everything.
Huh.
And I don't I'm gonna make my kid buy this comic, because if there is a god, King Kong is going to try to say the Green Lantern oath, but because he's a gorilla, it's just gonna be like rah, 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 rah.
Jesus Christ.
Anyway, that's what comic book nerds
Yeah.
do. Anyway.
And then I remember the other trailer was Deadpool versus Wolverine.
Oh yeah.
And it's very, I mean, it's exactly what you would expect from
I
Deadpool.
liked that. I thought that
Yeah.
was great. And I
Yeah.
thought it got me excited about Marvel movies again. It was like,
Yeah.
oh, we had to go through all this interminable Doctor Strange, multiverse of madness, Scarlet Witch bullshit to get to the TVA that gets Deadpool just walking into the MCU with no explanation needed. Okay, I'm fine. That's great.
Well, it says something like, I know you Marvel guys are new to R ratings, but I'm not. And he like fucking kills them or something,
Oh, joke's even better. It's like he's getting pegged. They're like, I know pegging's not new to the Marvel universe, but it is to Disney.
There you
And
go.
that was in the trailer.
There
I
you
was
go.
like, okay, they're full on Guardians of the Galaxy and going, all right, well, this is Deadpool 3. Watch this. You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. So yeah, all in all, it was a really good experience in a movie theater, and you don't have those very often. So I call it a net positive.
Did you buy that popcorn bucket?
No, no, I didn't go to an AMC, but
Mark
yeah,
Espinoza, you know
yeah,
Mark's day job, right?
I've heard. Yes,
Yeah, so he's like, I have to get one of those, but I'm
yeah,
not spending $60 off of eBay. And I'm like, well, dude, those things are sold out. Like, if you really have to get one, I really urge you to get one now before they're
yeah,
$100 tomorrow.
yeah.
So I'll check in with him tomorrow, see if he's got one on Dorkbot.
Final thoughts on Dune 2, Dune Part 2, I should say. Final thoughts, Larry?
I loved it, and we're sort of my kid's 16, so we're sort of at the tail end of loving Legos.
Mm,
But I kind of want that Lego Ornithopter. I really like that design of that ship. Anyway, loved it.
that's
Want another one?
I'm most excited about this whole father thing for the Legos. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
dude,
definitely
having kids is cool. You'll
yeah.
you'll be fine.
I'm
Just
just saying I'm gonna have a lot of Legos. That's all.
there's a reason why yeah, dude.
That's all I'm saying is I'm gonna have a lot of Legos. That's
Not
all.
just that, you're going to have processes in place for dealing with your Legos. Like you're going to have
Yeah,
sorting places, you're gonna have
right,
trays under
right.
couches, you're gonna have like I'm sure the science officer has those little like lingerie bags for her delicates for
Maybe I don't
laundry.
know. I don't know.
You see produce bags that
Sure.
the wispy things. You get one of those, fill it up with Legos, throw it in your dishwasher. All your Lego pieces are clean.
Oh, look at
You're
that. I didn't even
going to
think of
need to
that.
know that bit,
I'm definitely gonna
especially
need that.
especially with two,
Yeah.
because the first year there's a lot of puking
Well, it happens.
and there's a lot of Heine puking, which
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
so, and there's a
Look,
lot of
sometimes
Legos.
you gotta puke.
So some of that stuff's going to be on Legos. So
Yeah. Yeah.
don't panic. Just throw them in the dishwasher. It works
Yeah.
as a charm. You don't have to worry about it.
Fantastic. Final thoughts on Dune. It's amazing. It is. I went in expecting it to be okay because the first one I like the first one, but it's the first one. It's it's the setup. So I was like, okay. I mean, it looks cool, but I don't know the story verbatim, but whatever. This is one of the best like epic sci-fi fantasy movies I've ever seen,
That's
if not
awesome,
the best. I think it's the best.
John.
Because Lord of the Rings, they're like they're individual movies and they're one big movie, and it's like, okay, this is just like, oh no, here's one movie and it's going to be the best movie you've ever seen.
This is no lie. Listening to you talk about it makes me want to see it again.
I want to see it again. I don't
I
even want to go to
know,
work
but I'm
tomorrow.
like your enthusiasm is like awesome. I love it.
I'm so happy watching that movie. Yeah. I got all choked up when he picks the princess over the native girl. And I'm just like, oh man, that's the love story we didn't know we needed, Like
yeah,
so good.
you'll see. Dude
I'm
is
just
great.
romantic at heart,
I want you to read the books. It's like the best episode of Dallas ever.
I'll read the kids the books. Hey, you want to go to sleep? Here you go. Page
Oh
4.
my god, that would work. That would work on me. I
Yeah.
bet you somebody on YouTube is reading. I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna look on YouTube and I'm gonna read like the first chapter of Dune so people can.
I've heard the only thing I know about the books other than this is I've heard there is a shall we say not safe for work episode where all the people have a good time together.
Oh, the Fremen?
Yeah.
Oh well, probably.
That's what I've heard. I don't know. I've never read the book. I'm just
I
saying
was
that's what I've heard.
15. I don't, that was like if that was in there, I don't remember it.
I'm just saying. I don't know. I saw that.
Anyway,
I saw that somewhere. I was like, oh, that'd be interesting to read by myself alone.
that's the good part. You just skip over that stuff. Anyway.
Anyway,
Hey, man, thanks for doing some Dark Trek series, Star Trek.
heck yeah.
And it was all about Dune.
Some Dune Trek. Nice.
All right. Where are we going to be next week? Oh, next week.
So yeah, I'm on an away mission next week. I'll be in the land of William Wallace and doing some anthropological studying and scotch drinking.
That sounds awesome.
So I will not. I will not be here next week. I can't do a Scottish accent. I was trying to do a Scottish accent, and it just didn't happen. So
you know who can't do a Scottish accent either? James Doohan.
There you go. He's
All
an
right,
Aberdeen crawler.
We will be here doing our show next week, just without John. I'll get a little picture of you to put like right there.
Yeah, there you go.
And you're in the credits. So
yeah, see.
Send us a pic of something Star Trek and Scotch related when you're on.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Scotch, I remember that.
It's a good time.
All right, thanks everybody. Thank you, John.
See you on the internet.